I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the village board meeting, Wednesday, February 25th. If we'd all stand, we'll have Trustee Sabo lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Kajanis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Sweet?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Taylor?
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of August 26, 2014 village board meeting?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo,
Second.
second by Trustee Kajanis. Any discussion?
I have one thing on it.
Okay.
It's the August 26th meeting of 2014, and when I was reading through it, especially about Woodbine, I was having a problem because this is 6.5 months ago, and I can't remember what everyone had said on that thing. So, all I would like to see is that these can come forward. I did talk to the clerk, and she said that the papers were being held up out front, so I would like to see if we can get these a little faster than 6 months later.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Nay meaning, do you want something changed in minutes?
No. I'm not approving.
Oh, okay. Motion carries. This would be F. Is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of January 30th, 2015 through February 26, 2015?
I so moved.
First by Trustee Sabo.
Second.
Second by Trustee Costa. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I do have.
Okay, go right ahead.
Excuse me, page 5, toward the bottom of the page, number 725. I believe that's supposed to be chamber dinner instead of luncheon. That Janie Patch and Trustee Swees and I attended. And then I'd just like to ask something about membership. On the next item is 7765. And it's membership renewal. It is for the Homer Township Chamber of Commerce, which we are pleased to be members of and support. But I just wanted to ask the manager, are all memberships, do all memberships come to the board for approval, or just certain ones come to the board for approval? Because I don't think this one did. Although I'm saying it's a good membership.
Yeah, our SOP is supposed to be that all memberships come. I'm not sure in the case of the chamber, if the chamber has historically come through or not, or if we just automatically pay that one. So we can double check on that and get back to you.
Yeah, because it's...
Well, as you notice, a lot, you get a lot of memberships. You make a lot of membership decisions. We'll
Right,
check on the chamber one.
I know that the Illinois Municipal League comes to us, doesn't it?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
those are much larger amounts. Those
Okay.
are thousands of dollars. The chamber one is very, very small. It's about
Okay.
$140. So if it didn't come, it's probably relationship just the size.
Okay, I just didn't know if we had a policy on it, or if there was, I'd be consistent in certain things about the memberships, and, I don't know, something.
Well, you have approved memberships to the best of my knowledge. That might be the only one you haven't, and it's probably
Okay.
a function of it being so small.
Okay. And then I had another question on page 6. I just wanted to know when Krupski's sprinkler system bill came in, because does he do the work and then submit much later? Because this one is, invoice date is 2/1/15.
That's for January electrical inspections. Is it electrical or plumbing inspections? So he bills on a monthly basis. He uses the first day of the subsequent month.
So Crupsey Sprinkler Company,
Does the plumbing inspections for the building department.
I see, did not know that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And those are my only questions.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pagianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next portion of this meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start out. Congratulations to Lady Porter's bowling team, #1 in the state. This past Saturday, February 21st, the LTAHS Lady Porter's bowling team successfully secured the school's amazing 4th-state bowling title. The Lady Porters won the team title with 12,689 pins, 148 more than second place Collinsville. Oswego East placed 5th, and Joliet West placed 8th. Congratulations also goes out to Christine Vandenberg, LTHS student, who placed 2nd in the individual championships. The Village of Homer Glen will honor the Lady Porters at the end of the upcoming Village Board meeting. Congratulations to our state champion Lady Porter bowling team coach Art Kuzinski and the family, friends, and fellow Porter fans who cheered the team to victory. Under removal of trees at future Village Hall Park property, Homer Tree Service will begin the process of removing dead trees on the future 151st Street Village Hall Park property starting this Friday or Saturday. The tree removal company communicated to the village staff that it would take them approximately 1 week to remove all the dead trees. I sent a letter out to the residents in the area that informs them that the village will only be removing dead trees. Additionally, I directed staff to post a large sign on the fence on 151st Street so that the people who drive by the property will know the village is only removing dead trees. Under Blueberry Hill, I'm happy to report that one of Homer Glen's most popular restaurants, Blueberry Hill Breakfast Cafe and Pancake House, excuse me, has plans to expand their operation into an adjoining vacant 1,300 square foot space. The proposed expansion and remodel will create a much larger waiting area for restaurant customers. In addition, current plans call for the 1,300 square foot expansion space to house 61 new seats as well as added bathroom facilities. The expansion will completely fill the north building of this shopping center to capacity as the village's economic development successes continue to multiply. And that concludes the mayor's report. We'll start down with Trustee Costa.
No report tonight.
Okay, Trustee Yukic.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing we have going right now is the festival is planned out pretty good. We still have a few things just tied together, and the dates are all set for 26th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. 25th through 28th. We'll let you know on that. But that's the report. Thank you.
Okay, how about the Trustee Sabo?
Reporting for the Environment Committee, and the first topic is Earth Day Arbor Day. And publicity for Earth Day Arbor Day has been sent to newspapers, saying that we are seeking demonstrators, exhibitors, volunteers, and sponsors. The committee is seeking individuals, groups, and businesses who utilize natural and recycled materials to provide solutions and examples of products and the green industry. Exhibitors that connect children with nature and the outdoors are especially encouraged to participate. Other demonstrations or exhibits are being sought that show efficient use of energy and cost savings. There will be a green market with arts and crafts for sale and nature-friendly exhibits. A new program will be added to the event this year entitled Trash to Treasures, which is similar to the Antique Roadshow program seen on TV. People will bring an item to be appraised, and we'll have more details about this in the future. We're very excited about that one. That means that you can bring an item. Just think about that item. At this time, the sponsors that have pledged to support Earth Day Arbor Day so far are Myers, Richards Building Supply, New Way, Door to Door Organics, and Conell Farm. Their thoughtfulness will help bring new and exciting programs and activities this year. So look on the Homer Glen website, and you'll get more information about Earth Day. And applications are also on there. Big Tree Champions. The Environment Committee is seeking the big trees in the Homer Glen community by holding a Big Tree Champion contest to celebrate Arbor Day this year. All types of trees can be entered, which may be growing on forest preserves, private property, parks, and open spaces. Please seek permission for access to private property. The search includes the biggest tree from any tree category, which means that more than one tree will be announced. The nominations forms will be available soon, and to make the nomination process very easy, the only measurement required will be the circumference of the tree. And the deadline for nominations will be May 31st. Regarding the tree replacement program for spring, the process for the tree replacement program in the road right-of-way has begun. Recently, about 150 letters were sent to those who lost trees in the road right-of-way in front of their homes. So far, the number of responses from residents has been 30. The trees planted in the spring will be increased to 2.5 inches in diameter, which reflects the tree replacement sizes in other communities. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee K. Janice?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I'll be really brief on this. With community and economic development, I'm hoping that, and I want to reach out to the FEST committee, that we work with our local businesses in Homer Glen first and foremost to bring them into the FEST. These are businesses in Homer Glen that have invested in our community, that support our community and support all the activities in our community, whether it is through volunteerism or donations. So I'm hoping that as we go out and reach out with contractual obligations with the FEST and the vendors, that we look at Homer Glen and our businesses first and foremost before we search other avenues outside our own community. So I'm hoping, for the last several years, I've been asking the same thing, so I'm hoping it will be the case again this year. So that's just fruit for thought, and I'm hoping that does take place.
Okay. Thank you. Trustee Suisse?
No report tonight, Mayor.
Okay. How about Trustee DeVivo?
Thank you, Mayor. Park meeting was Monday, February 22nd, and a couple of the things that we discussed was the Goodings Grove Park and the recommended names. After the committee reviewed the historical information provided, the consensus from the committee was to keep the name as Goodings Grove after William Gooding, who first planted this area in a fruit tree grove. This recommendation will be before the board in March for a vote. We hope to have a final rendering of the park for all of you to see at this time also. We also received a letter from the Will County Forest Preserve sent to Homer Glen letting us know that they plan on preparing a county-wide bikeway path, a plan, in an effort to expand non-motorized transportation opportunities that will connect communities and open space areas. It is intended to be coordinated in the Will County Division of Transportation 2040 Long Range Transportation Plan. The village manager completed their request to provide a map of current and future trails. We believe this is a great opportunity to communicate our current and future ideas on connectivity with the Forest Preserve trail system along with other systems. Our next park meeting is March 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee DeVivo. Is there a treasurer's report?
Yes, Mayor, I have the Treasurer's Report of cash and investments as of January 31st, 2015. It's the 9th month of fiscal 2015. It shows the general fund with cash and investment balances of $4,689,658.89. The special events fund with a cash and investment balance of $61,968.54. The environmental fund, $46,943.91. The motor fuel tax fund had a balance of $2,486,143.12. The land acquisition fund, $1,022,610.90. The park and recreation fund had cash and investments of $2,292,865.81. The debt service fund had a balance of $239,230.96. Capital project fund had a balance of $3,878,077.73. The EAB tree replacement fund had a balance of $477,859.13. The bond fund had a balance of $15,185,116.92 for a grand total, all funds, $30,380,475.91. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, John. Does the clerk have a report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
How about the village attorney?
No report this evening.
How about any public safety officials? Okay. And how about the village manager?
Mayor, I don't have any report tonight. Trustee Costa raising his.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question of the village manager.
Sure.
In our, I believe it was our last meeting, there was some discussion about our flag and our flagpole. Can you give us a report on where we're at on that, please?
You mean the one at Stonebridge?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we kind of ran out of gas last year to finish that project. We have two components to it. We have to run some electric to light the pole, and then we have to do landscaping, which we're going to do. We want to do in the probably mid-spring on that site. Kind of working up a plan now for it. So those are the two remaining items left to do on that project.
So we have everything ordered. We'll have
The
it.
flagpoles are up, and
Okay.
we have the flags in stock. We just have to get the landscaping done and the electric done. They kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, we need to do the electric first before we do the landscaping, so we don't have to rip it all up. We're going to put some of it back into grass. I think we talked on the Parks Committee. I think we're going to take some of they created this really huge landscape bed there, and we need to shrink it because it's just too big. So we're going to do some sod and stuff like that, and we're planning on doing that all in the spring when the sprinkler system gets back going.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cam. The next portion of this meeting is public comment. Please try to keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. The first speaker would be Joseph Hill. Name and record, name and address for the record.
Good evening, Joe Hill, 9100 West Plainfield Road, Brookfield, Illinois, 60513. I just stepped up to advise you I'm here if there are any questions on item number 1. I represent T-Mobile Central LLC. We're proposing to co-locate antennas on an existing tower at 12608 West 159th Street. And we appeared in front of the Plan Commission a couple weeks ago, and were recommended for approval tonight. Several years ago, we applied for the same location and was approved by the village board. The special use permit lapsed, and we had to reapply, and that's why we're here before you tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker would be Larry Calfirst. Calfirst. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Larry Canfirst, and I live in the Kylemore subdivision. And I'm here in regards to the item number 7, the approval of the parking regulations and recreation equipment, vehicles and construction equipment, etc. I may be a little bit premature. I understand there is a new ordinance that is being considered. Is that my understanding now?
Yes.
I live out in on an acre, and last year one of my neighbors was given a warning about his trailer being on a driveway. Out in that particular area, I mean, it's so open, I never even noticed the trailer over there until he asked me about it. As you drive down the block, there is a construction company that's being run out of the backyard of one of the houses there. Across the street from me, there's trucks there that are obviously construction trucks. I just think if we're on an acre, one of the reasons I moved out here was because it was so open, it's farmland. And I always said when 355 was coming through, I said, that's all right, I have my acre. I somehow think if you've got an acre, you've got a little bit more leeway on what you can put in the backyard or on the driveway, unless somebody else is objected to it. I could understand if it was a 60-foot lot with a short driveway and I looked out the front door and there was a big trailer right next to me. I don't think I'd like that. But with an acre, I would think there'd be a little bit more understanding.
Okay.
Did I explain myself well enough?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker would be Dan Kenny.
Hi, Dan Kenny, 16237 Marimel Drive, Homer, Glen. So tonight there's going to be a vote concerning the village lighting ordinance, and I'd like to say a few brief words about our village lighting ordinance. So in short, I like it. I like our village lighting ordinance. My wife likes it. It's one of the reasons why we moved here. It's also one of the reasons why more and more people are choosing to move here every day. It's a selling point for our community. It sets us apart. It makes us unique. It affords us the rare distinction as one of the only dark night sky communities in the entire world. That's huge. We should be proud of that designation. We should be shouting about it from the rooftops. Instead, there are some who complain that our lighting ordinance is too restrictive, unsafe, or bad for business. Nothing could be further from the truth. As more and more people choose to escape the bright lights of the city and move to the more natural and, yes, darker setting of Homer, Glen, our population will continue to grow. We're already starting to see this. As our population continues to grow, more and more businesses will want to set up shop here because this is where the consumers are. We do not need to bend over backwards to accommodate these businesses. On the contrary, if they would like to have the privilege of doing business in our village, they need to play by our rules and obey our ordinances. Having strict ordinances that are unilaterally enforced creates a level playing field, which is good for business. The only thing that is bad for business is when we grant variances to a select few businesses while the majority of our existing business owners are already following the rules. What kind of message are we sending to those business owners? Let's show our law-abiding business owners that we support them by not granting any more variances to businesses who are not willing to be in compliance with our village ordinances. In closing, I would like to thank those who continue to safeguard our unique village identity by standing strong behind all of our village ordinances. It is good for our community. It is good for business. And as far as the safety issue is concerned, last time I checked, Homer, Glen was not only considered to be one of the safest places to live in Illinois, but statistically, this is one of the safest communities in the entire nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Just a brief comment. So you do understand in certain circumstances, we do have pre-existing annexation agreements that were made prior to the lighting ordinance that are accepted from certain practices just by the simple fact that they annexed in under a certain understanding and it's a contract. So yeah, so just so you understand that one. Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
May I spend 2 minutes?
Go right up. Go right up.
Thank you very much. You're always considerate to me. I appreciate it. In response to this young man, obviously he hasn't lived here for 47 years. All right? I have.
But I will.
Okay. So you will.
Hold on here, Bob. Bob,
I don't intend to make it personal,
Okay, these,
but he's there.
hold on one second. How about your name and, I know who you
Oh, he's
are.
over there.
Name-
Robert O. Smith, 14339 West Independence Way, Homer, Glen, Illinois, 60491, 708-301-9111, and that is Real Go Camp. Come on out and see me. Anyway, the only thing I'm going to respond to this young man, not being a part of our community when it was all farmland, all right? I was part of that. I was one of the first people to move in the Chicken. Across the road. What? Farmers with their wagons running road. And we began to grow. We began to fill the spot. The mayor has done an excellent job in protecting Homer Glen. All right. This gentleman would rather be in Listenwood. And then I said, go there. This is still, I'd like to say it, a farm community. We have people who love the open air, love the open sky, all right? But if you take away lighting, you will take away any business for 159th Street, Route 7. Because they will go from this town and they'll go that way or they'll go that way. They will not come here because you shut it off. Isn't that wonderful? So what will happen? Your taxes, they're high now, but wait for that one. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, that concludes public comment. The next portion of this meeting are legislation and action items. This would be I-1. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 15-009, an ordinance granting approval of a special use to amend a planned unit development and approval of a special use to permit the operation and co-location of a wireless communication facility for the subject property located at 12608 West 159th Street, Homer, Glen, Illinois, T-Mobile Central LLC.
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
I second.
second by trustee Swees. Is there any discussion?
I just have a quick question
Sure.
for the petitioner. You said you were here before a few years back. Is there any difference between now and then, what you're proposing?
I was not personally here a
Oh,
few years
okay.
ago, but what has changed, our equipment area in the actual fenced-in compound has changed slightly, but we are still within that same fenced-in compound, but our tower extension is the same.
Okay.
The pad is 25 square feet less
Less?
than it was back in 2011.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Is there
Thank
any
you.
further questions? Madam
I
Clerk,
had a
please.
comment.
Oh, go right ahead.
I have no objection to this, but I just wanted to say that around here, there aren't any residents close by. Is that true? I know there's a house way back in there, but
Right, there's a significant buffering between the Circle Tractor property and that residence, a lot of trees and whatnot. So the only adjacent uses are either the business or the school, and of course, this is set back a good distance from the school.
my comment is directed at staff in the future. It doesn't count for this one because we knew this didn't have any residents around it, but the idea is that if there are residents, to also have that map shown to the board so that we know what is surrounding this property. There was a case a long time ago where a facility was put up right next to somebody's backyard, so that's their view. And that kind of thing we don't feel is good for their property value. So I just as a something in the future to make sure that we know what it is in the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further comment? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pagianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I2. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 15-010, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a recreational lease by and between Commonwealth Edison and the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois, for the construction and maintenance of the village's southern extension of the village's Heroes Trail?
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. Any discussion?
One question, Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead.
This is going to be the trail that goes just to the west of our property here, from north to
Right,
south, correct?
From Martingale down to 159th.
Right. You know, there's been some talk in the past that we would like to connect this trail to the Healing Garden. Can we get it in, somehow get it into this document that we want to be able to just bring a branch off to the ComEd property line so it could be continued by Township Village or an organization to be brought over to here?
Okay, we can talk to ComEd about that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pagianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, one clarification on that, just trustee Costa, you mean bring it to basically the property line?
To the ComEd
Healing
property
Garden
line.
property, yeah, to the
Yes.
property line of the Healing Garden?
Okay,
Well, I'd like to
Like
get
a-
it just to the, at least into the documents that go to ComEd.
Right.
So that we can bring a line to that, correct?
Right,
Yes.
gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
okay, this would be I3. Is there a motion to approve the proposed date of Saturday, April 18th, and time of 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the village's spring 2015 paper shredding and I just bit my lip, recycling event?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Aye.
second by trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pagianis?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I4. Is there a motion to approve the attached agreement with Shred-it for the document shredding services to be provided at the village's spring 2015 paper shredding and recycling event, and to direct the mayor to sign said agreement? It is understood that these membership dues were budgeted 10.11.80.561.
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
I second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pagianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I5. Is there a motion to approve an agreement with School District 33C for the use of Hadley Middle School's parking lot for the village's April 18th, 2015 paper shredding and recycling event, and to direct the village manager to sign said agreement?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee DeVivo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pagianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, if I could just interrupt for a moment. Before we leave that topic, the number that you listed off was the number that was on your notes, but I think Heather meant to say, in terms of the fund that it's, the account that it's coming out of, it's 1492-8523. Okay, so she wrote down an incorrect account number on that, but we just caught that. I just want to bring it to the board's attention. It's coming out of the environment fund where it was budgeted.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This would be I6. Is there a motion to authorize HR Green to prepare required MFT qualifying documents for submittal to IDOT for the following Village of Homer Glen MFT fund projects? Number one, the completion of the removal and replacement of the remaining old post top lighting fixtures within the village. And 2, the village's street light maintenance project. It is understood that H.R. Green will prepare the proper IDOT documents for both projects at an amount not to exceed $4,000. It is further understood that H.R. Green's fee will be paid from the village's MFT fund.
So,
First
Second.
by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
I just have a quick question, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
On the maintenance project, do we know approximately what, how much that is? How much that's going to cost on an annual basis?
I think we've budgeted 30,000 in the budget.
30,000
Yeah, I think
annually?
that's what we budgeted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yurich?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I-7. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 15-011, an ordinance regulating the outdoor parking of recreational equipment vehicles and construction/commercial related vehicles in the village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois?
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich,
Second.
second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go right ahead, trustee Kajanis.
Have a couple issues with this, and I know there's several people in this audience that will as well. First and foremost, I'd like to say that this is, I believe, an overreaching attempt on government to control people's personal property and people's personal land property. I do believe that many years ago when people settled here in Homer Glen, built their houses 25, 30, 35, 40 plus years ago, they had land. They had driveways, they put them in. They were working men and women in our community. They managed to generate enough income to buy some avenues for recreation. That might have been a snowmobile or what have you on their outdoor recreations for the weekends with their family. Now we're coming in and saying, on your personal property and your personal items that you own, we are going to tell you what you could have in front of your house. I do believe there could be a Good Samaritan ordinance that neighbors talk to neighbors. I talk to my neighbors on issues all the time. But this could be the case. But when we overreach on issues such as this, on recreational vehicles or trailers that they're trying to recreate with their families, to create more bonding with their families, and now we're going to put a higher cost on them. Also, I have a little issue with work trucks and that may have lettering on the side that's considered a work vehicle. As we know, over the last several years, we've had issues with the economy, and a large portion of our households, it is a two-working household family. They may only have the ability of one personal vehicle. The other vehicle is, I'm sure, maybe a work vehicle that may have lettering on the side of it. This lettering under this may be restrictive, and that's what I'm fearful of. I'm not quite sure if we're working towards an avenue under this ordinance to next step, restrict this, and then all of a sudden impose a vehicle sticker tax. I'm not quite sure, but this is, to me, as I read this, leads to that next step. And I can't support that, Mr. Mayor, if it does. Now, if it talked about class of vehicles or class of plates, whether it be an F plate or an H plate, if we're worried about semi-trucks being in our driveway in certain neighborhoods, that's a different situation. But I worry when we take a broad stroke approach to this, on medium duty trucks, our vehicles, our sports vehicles, you know, it leads itself to too much of a loose interpretation. And that's why I cannot support it. And I have to always support the property owner that not only owns the vehicle and the trailer and the property in which it's there. And that's what I like to say.
Okay. Is there any
have
further
a comment.
discussion? Trustee Costa?
Yes, I would, Mr. Mayor. If we remember, we've had an ordinance prohibiting recreational vehicles being parked in front of your house for quite a while here. What we did is the committee looked at this for several months, had a lot of residents come to the meeting and voice their opinion. I really think what the committee has done here is they've come up with some ideas that have actually loosened the restrictions on what you can park in front of your house or on the side of your house. For example, you can now park a snowmobile trailer, a small boat trailer on your driveway. You can't park it on your grass, which we have found in the past. We had pictures of people parking them right in front of their house, right on their grass. You can also have another vehicle, a recreational vehicle, parked on the side of your house, which is behind the right-of-way, as long as it's on proper bedded ground. And it's all in the ordinance. So in a way, we have made some provisions for owners that have vehicles that have had them on their driveway to have them there legally, if you want to call it legal, according to the ordinance. Now, there are some restrictions. For example, a gross vehicle weight of 14,000 pounds. Now, that would probably pretty much encompass most of us that have work vehicles, such as an electrician, or I'm a pipe fitter. I don't have one anymore, but I'm a pipe fitter. Electricians, plumbers that take their work truck home every night that are on 24/7 calls. So that is still okay. If it says Mike's piping on the side, you're okay as long as you're within the gross vehicle weight. Also, there's other restrictions, is that if your recreational vehicle is on the driveway, it cannot protrude into the sidewalk, which becomes part of the right-of-way, so that can't happen. Before, you couldn't have it there at all. Also, before, there had to be complete screening in front of your vehicle when it was parked on the side of the house, and we don't have that in there on this ordinance now. So we have made we have loosened up this somewhat from what we've had here for a number of years. We try to make it a bit more friendly to the residents that have the recreational vehicles, but on the same time have some guidelines. You know, it cannot restrict the line of sight for safety, it can't go over the sidewalk, it must be of a roadworthy condition, so it can't be sitting there on milk crates without tires, broken windshields. It's got to be registered, and it's got to be registered to the homeowner. So I can't have my nephew bring his RV over to my house and say, well, keep it at my drive, no one's going to say anything. It's got to be registered to my house. So there's provisions in there. So I believe that this does make it a bit easier for the owners of recreational vehicles and work trucks, and at the same time, some guidelines, so it is kept and looks in some kind of a orderly manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Is there any other comments?
Yes. Mr. Mayor,
Hold on here.
I don't know if you want to.
Let's let
I'm sorry.
Trustee DeVivo.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry, Marcia.
just a question. Do we know if any of the residents that received the original warning letters would be not be in compliance with the new ordinance that you're trying to propose?
I believe Joe could answer that.
There's a possibility. We have some vehicles out there that were on non-approved hard surfaces that were parked in grass, so they may have gotten a notification, as well as the condition of the vehicle that was parked on their property may have gotten them. But really, the way this draft this ordinance, or this ordinance is being proposed, it's a lot less restrictive than the previous ordinance. It does only apply to the R-zone properties, so the larger properties, they do have the ability to park multiple vehicles, which are typically screened or out of their neighbors' sight lines. So it is a less restrictive ordinance. And it does give the ability for those commercial people with those types of vehicles to park on their driveway, one vehicle, and the size is the determining factor.
Trustee DeVivo, does that answer your
That
question?
answer- Yeah, that does, thank you.
Okay, Trustee K. Janice, you had another question?
One, I'm always worried about succession. When you start having government creep, I always worry about that because I know government creeps into our life. Before you know it, you wonder where it came from, the control. But I'm just wondering, when you're saying 14,000 pounds, and we know we have a lot of residents in Homer Glen that are in the trades, that they bring home an H license, which is slightly over the 14,000 pounds. So that may not be in compliance. We also know some residents in Homer Glen in the trades that sometimes do need to bring out their equipment because they're picking up their equipment from the north side as they're doing work in Indiana, and they, instead of driving up and early in the morning and driving back to Indiana, they're bringing home their equipment that night. And that could put them at the H class on the license. So right now, you're putting this controls at or below an F class on a vehicle. And yet, it does not require a CDL on these classifications. These are actually work vehicles that are being parked on the driveway of a person that has paid their taxes, paid their mortgage, pays their insurance, and we're looking at, we say it's less restrictive. No, it's more restrictive because what we're doing is, we said the Good Sam law in the past. If you complain about it and to your neighbor, you can't get anywhere, come to the village. So now what we're saying is, no, now we have a mechanism to go fine you. So it's more restricted because we're putting some gazpacho in that gun to go after these people. And that's what I don't like either, because that, I just have a little issue. Instead of having a Good Sam or a good neighbor policy and ordinance that actually follows some guidelines for communications and we help out, we want to go right after it. And I have a little issue on that as well. Again, the recreational vehicle trailers that, again, there's definitely issues for property owners' rights on this. I do believe this does not become a community of an HOA, homeowners association. If I want to move into a homeowners association community, I would have moved into one. I didn't choose to do that 31 years ago. So that's what I'm concerned with. Now, that's my opinion, and I'll let it rest.
Okay. Is there any further, Trustee Sabo?
This committee has worked long and hard, months, maybe going into a year if they didn't have the input from the residents who actually have the problems, the residents who have the vehicles, and the residents that don't own any of these vehicles that have to look at their neighbors' vehicles. So I believe that this committee has come up with ideas that are less restrictive than the ordinance was. And I had a conversation with one of the chairmen, and they said that the other ordinance was cumbersome and quite restrictive and overbearing, and know who could meet those standards. So they're satisfying people, or trying to satisfy the people who have the vehicles, as well as the property owners that feel that if these vehicles aren't housed properly, that their property values will be devalued. And so in this ordinance, and I think that the public should know about this, and I'd like either of the chairmen to read the 8 or 9 points on this to show how clear the guidelines and the rules have become. And so either Trustee Costa or Trustee Yukich, please read the new proposed ordinance regulations that here are on page 3, so the public will know about it.
Well, the public, before you get to that, Trustee Yukich, the public will know if this passes that, what the changes are just simply by our website, but go right ahead for the benefit of the television.
Yep, that's good. It should be put on the website. Thank you.
It will make it a lot easier for everyone to understand it. Right now, if you look up how you're supposed to park any kind of vehicle, you have to go to zoning, then go to the ordinance. Go back to zoning, then go back to ordinance. It was outdated, it was overdone, and this does allow everyone to have what they're looking for. The restrictions that Trustee Costa said before are pretty simple. You have to have it licensed, you have to have it insurance, it has to run, it has to be kept up, and it has to be owned by the landowner. Because most communities don't allow any of this anymore. We had been talking about things that have changed since we became the village, and all the promises that they made beforehand. What we're trying to do is keep with what the promises were when we incorporated. So with that being said, and I should have actually brought the zoning book and the ordinance because it's like this. Now it's this. So it's a lot easier to read. In summary, the new proposed ordinance regulations would be as shown below. It applies only to those properties located within the R zoning district. Would allow one recreational vehicle to be parked between the front building line and the public right-of-way. Would allow one commercial type vehicle to be parked between the front building line and the public right-of-way. All vehicles are required to be parked on approved hard surface. And the reason that is, if any of them leak, it's not leaching into the ground, it's on the cement. At no time are vehicles allowed to be parked or located on any portion of public sidewalks, in public right-of-way, or affect roadway sight lines. All vehicles must be operable and have current state licenses and registrations to the address in which it is being stored. All vehicles shall be maintained and stored in a safe manner. Any commercial or construction vehicle stored in a residential area shall be classified as a light-duty vehicle or less as determined by the vehicle's gross weight. Parking of vehicles larger in size and a light-duty classification shall be prohibited on public streets unless it's being utilized for a short-term activity. Vehicles which are stored in a hard surface location that was lawfully established prior to the adoption of zoning ordinance shall be deemed illegal, non-conforming, or grandfathered use. So certain people that have been here for a very long time and everything was approved for them, we're not bothering. All we're trying to do is keep everything within the legal description of the property's boundaries. We don't want anything blocking the streets. We don't want them parked on the streets. So I think that the committee had done a wonderful job, and we did work on this, and we made our promise to the residents, and we kept it. So we can give you a copy of it. You can take a look.
Mr. Mayor, there's a little...
comment.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead, Trustee Suisse.
Thank you. Just not a comment, a question. 2 and 3, can you combine one of each? You know, can you have the one
can have
recreational and one
recreational
commercial?
vehicle. Correct.
So you could combine, have one of
So
each,
somebody could have their commercial vehicle out there as well as a recreational.
as long as it's on a hard surface on the
Correct.
side or whatever. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Trustee K. Janice,
Yeah,
you
one of
want,
the restrictions is it has to be, you know, the owner of the vehicle has to be, it has to be licensed to the owner of the house. So now I have a company vehicle, a corporate vehicle. It's licensed out of my corporation, if I own it, or out of my boss's corporation, wherever that may be. So the plates are not licensed or registered to the house. They're in non-compliance.
Joe, I actually think as you read that, the intent of that, which is actually number 6. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I comment on that?
sure.
I'm sorry, that is number 6. The intent of that was for the recreational vehicle, not for commercial vehicle.
Correct.
You're right, that should be added into there. That it's so if it's a camper, trailer, boat, snowmobile, it's registered to the homeowner, but of course, we would understand if you have a company truck, unless you own the company, it's registered to the company, not to you.
Again, company owns it.
Okay, any further comments, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor,
Public comments over, Bob.
I know, but they're talking about voting on something that the residents ought to have to pay. I'm not saying the ordinance is bad, it is, no question about it. But when you limit 14,000 pounds, come on, guys, you know what an RV weighs. What the hell are you talking about? You're talking about little postage stamps. Come on, if I own a 40-footer, what does it weigh? Now, I don't want it sitting there all week. I want to be able to come in there on a Friday, leave on a Saturday, and come back Monday or Tuesday. But if you're saying I can't do that, this is an America, guys.
That, the 14,000 gross vehicle weight was just for the commercial and construction vehicles.
Correct,
It
not
didn't
for
apply to the RVs or things like that.
Well,
What is it,
For what?
on RV?
There is no limit.
There's no
So you
limit.
could have that
Does it
type.
say that in the ordinance?
It wouldn't
No.
apply, it doesn't specifically say,
No,
but
it
it
doesn't.
does regulate the commercial vehicle.
and,
They're saying.
but we have to all,
Why the RV?
excuse me,
Okay,
Bob, excuse me, Bob.
Hold on,
Bob.
we can only have one person speaking at a time, okay?
Excuse me, Bob.
Bob, you're done, okay?
Excuse me, Bob. But
ahead,
under the
Sam.
state of Illinois, under a Class B license, they actually list that as sports utility vehicle. They use the same terminology here, and that's a family SUV. So it's the same terminology, whether the gross weight that we put in there at 14,000 pounds, the light-duty truck is what's registered, I believe, under, if I'm not mistaken, under a Class B license in the state of Illinois. To get a Class B license, it's a light utility, it's a difference. So this is erroneous in my viewpoint because a Class B license is under 8,000. So which one is it? Is it the light utility or is it 14,000 pounds that takes you somewhere under, around a Class F license?
That's the reason why we did not go by the license classification when we went with the weight factor as the determinant, the size of the vehicle.
So we're not gonna follow Jesse White's
Well, they do.
registration on my plates.
No, we're
They
not.
do
We're not
have
gonna follow it.
designation for the weight in the
We're not gonna follow
classifications
it.
as well.
Okay. Just wanna know, we're not gonna follow it in Homer Glen, the
That is
classifications of the
a
weights.
federal standard
That's
that's
fine.
designated
That's
for
fine.
vehicles.
So we choose not to follow the classifications
No,
of the
there-
state.
That is a designation for the class of vehicle. The gross vehicle weight, every vehicle has a gross vehicle weight
Right.
registered with that vehicle.
Okay.
Class
are-
B, D, F, H, and then there's also J, and there's several other classifications with different weights. Whether they be also licensing for recreation vehicles, or RVs, or trailers. So we're kind of, we want to create a dance here, but doesn't kind of line up with each other with the verbiage, and that's what I worry about, so. That's okay.
Oh.
You know my opinion, as I stated before.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
No.
Trustee Sabo?
Yes.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye, but I want to make a comment. I'm a little concerned that there might be some verbiage issues with this, or, yeah, I just really would like us to keep an eye on this. I really don't want the village ordinance to stand in the way of someone not being able to park their work vehicle in their driveway. This ordinance should not become a revenue source for this community, so I'd just like us to keep an eye on it, and if residents have any complaints, they should be heard. Thank you.
Joe, from time to time, you may have to explain if you're called out on a call, you know, how it breaks down between, you know, class of license versus weight, and because it is a bit confusing, so.
They're really two different things.
Okay.
The way the licenses are, registered,
Mhm.
licenses and the vehicle weight.
Yeah.
That's what's sold on the side of the vehicle.
You and I might understand that, but the person that has the vehicle there might not quite understand it, so, you know, your code enforcer it should be up to date on how to explain it to a resident, that's all. Okay? Motion carries. All right, this would be I-8. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 15-012, amending ordinance number 12-040, an ordinance entitled Outdoor Lighting in the Village of Homer Glen?
I so move.
Second.
First by trustee Sabo, second by trustee Kay Janis. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick comment, Mr. Mayor, if I can.
Go right ahead.
You know, we discussed this at the last meeting, and, you know, the more and more you read this, the committee did do a wonderful, you know, the subcommittees did a wonderful job on this. My biggest, I'd say my complaint a year or so ago when I started reading the ordinance, it was all over the place, up and down. It seemed like we did a lot of housekeeping on it. We clarified some things, streamlined it somewhat. So, again, once you read it now, in its entirety, all cleaned up, it looks pretty good. But thank you to the subcommittee for working so hard on it.
You know, and I'd like to just make a
Trustee
comment.
Janis?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mayor. I'd like to make a comment. Yes, Trustee Costa, you're absolutely correct, because the residents, developers, business owners, you know, they're throwing a dart up against a wall that they never saw. They never knew where it was going to land, and I agree with that. That's why this joint subcommittee was formed. In the future, we're not quite sure where it all sets. We'll see. But I'd like to just, you know, the biggest issue with businesses, and we are a safe community, and thank you to our public safety officials, our staff, Mr. Mayor as well, that we are a safe community. One of the reasons why we're a safe community is because a lot of our parking lot in our shopping centers, they're exempt because they're old. They've been there and they're lit up. So maybe that's part of the cause. So when you got something working right in those shopping centers, don't change it. Don't try to fix it, government. Okay? Government should get in away from success of these businesses being safe and there's not robberies or carjacking. So we don't want that. And I want my wife to go shopping in a safe, lit environment when she goes out in the evening. That's a personal desire. Everyone has their own thing. But what I like to say is also this, is, you know, I was really interesting. I grew up in the environment, in the mountains. Grew up in the environment, small little town. I also was a businessman, so I understand both sides of the coin here. I enjoy the environment, I enjoy the outdoors, I enjoy rock climbing and camping up above 10,000 feet. I enjoy it still to do it to this day. But I also understand and respect the dinner table and financial issues. So that's where trying to get some common sense in this, and that's where I really appreciated working with the subcommittee. But one thing, whether I lived in the environment and understand the environment or was a businessman, I'm still an American, and I wish, with all the exemptions we do have, I wish we had, and maybe future boards could address this, and maybe not today, but why can't we have an exemption on the American flag? I brought this up several times. I don't understand why we can't have an American flag exemption to where we encourage posting the American flag, whether it be at the village hall or on a park or in front of our house, without a heavy burden of trying to figure out what light bulb to put on the American flag. So I like to see that as an exemption. We could talk about height of the pole. We could discuss that further. In the, you know, upcoming boards could discuss that, but that's something I want to throw on the table. But yes, to your point, Trustee Costa, yes, this is good. This gets us on the right road. I agree with you on that, and thank you for that comment as well.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Trustee Sabo.
Okay, I'd like to address the last point of Trustee Kajanis of light bulbs and flags. Exemption. Actually, the reason that the flag is addressed in there is so that people will know that the light should hit the flag, not somebody's window, not in their house. And if you have a flag lit from the ground up, you have a certain distance that will work. And that's what the ordinance shows. It gives 2 examples. You can also light it top down, either with electric or with solar. But it does not say in there that you are restricted to a certain amount of light on the flag. If you want the flag to be very bright, you can. If you don't want it to be your major attraction on the property, well, it won't be. It does say a certain distance that you have a certain wattage, and that's only because of the angle that it's at. But it doesn't say that you can't have more than 1 fixture. So you could light this flag from 4 different directions. It doesn't prevent you from doing that. So there is not really an issue with the flag. As far as another issue, with safety, this whole ordinance is about safety. If on the first page, it talks about all the reasons, and one is glare. Glare is very dangerous. Glare prevents you from seeing somebody that's around you if you're at an ATM machine. Glare prevents you from seeing that car or some vehicle coming at you when you are actually walking. So that's why consistent lighting throughout the village is very important, so that the eye can adjust, so that people aren't blinded by light that somebody uses. And there are other safety factors built in here, because the illuminating engineers' guidelines are used by the lighting designers, and those guidelines are all about safety. I'd like to just sum up this ordinance so that the compliance date has been removed, which the Environment Committee wanted to remove for a long time. There are 4 categories of lighting which make it much easier for a business to comply. So that would be, if he just wants to change his building lighting, that's all he has to do if he's 25% or over. If you're starting to change your lighting, you don't want to have some lighting like this and some lighting like that. So that's why that percentage is in there. Landscape lighting is another category. Parking lot lighting is a category. So you don't have to do the whole property with renew with lighting or comply to the ordinance. The definitions have been spruced up. There's examples of fixtures in there, fixtures that are fully shielded or full cut off, so that the light is distributed where it's supposed to go, not at you, not at your house, not at, it's providing the light where the light is needed. And there's a luminaire chart that makes it very easy for developers to use, and it saves a lot of words, it saves a lot of written material. And there's also an example of how you calculate lumens. And what is a lumen? A lumen is a measurement of light. So if you look on your light bulb package, you will see a certain number of lumens watts are a certain number of lumens. And this has been very valuable to have the 2 committees working together. The Environment Committee still isn't done with this. We've met already, and we want to improve the ordinance even more to make it even more clearer and easier. But the ordinance lessens pollution. That's what people like. They don't want to have to, they leave the big city and they come here. They want a sense of community here, something unique. Yes, we're known in the world for this lighting ordinance. We are not known for other things that we do that are good too, but this is what we are known for. And I know that people move here, they've commented to me, and Mr. Kenny is saying that people move here for that, for this ordinance, or for community and nature and harmony, because they can't find it in many other places. This is their place. Although it's growing, it can still grow wisely, and we can still have that quality of life that we need, that this lighting ordinance provides. Mr. Kenny, and all his comments that he made, I've heard before from other people, Mr. Kenny knows that other people are coming here for certain reasons. Why? Because he's a realtor, and I don't know what realty it is. So he knows the movement. Where can you get what we have here so close to Chicago? You can't find it anywhere else. So I'd like to say that we are environmentally conscious. We are also growing with business. This lighting ordinance hasn't prevented any business from coming. And at the last meeting, the mayor gave a glowing report of 4 new businesses here. You can't take the environment out of economics. And that's what business is all about. And you can't take economics out of the environment, because if you do, you're spoiling both of them. So both must work together to survive, and this is what we're trying to do with this ordinance. And being a good neighbor to neighbor, commercial, industrial to residences, and commercial to commercial or industrial to industrial is very important. Neighbors of different kinds. The Environment Committee has recommended that a loan program for non-conforming industrial commercial lighting situations be adopted, similar to the facade ordinance or similar to the loan program for the sign ordinance. And we are working on a lighting brochure which really sums it up, and it's easy to hand out. We're also very pleased to have worked with Brian Fisher, who is an engineer, and he will be meeting with us again or we'll contact him in some way, because we do have some questions after we met with him most recently. So we're very pleased with this ordinance, working together with the Community and Economic Development Committee. And we know that this ordinance has been used by other towns, other states, east and west of the Mississippi. And so we're one of a kind here, we're a leader. We have to follow what this says. That's why the Environment Committee took this job on. It was not an easy task. But if you say this, what you are, as a community in nature and harmony, you're hanging out your shingle and you're attracting people for it, and you have to back it up. This backs it up.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Sabo. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kirkjanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I-9. Is there a motion to approve resolution number 15-002, a resolution authorizing the presentation of a draft for payment of $3,847.25 from the remaining balance of $23,518.75 pursuant to the irrevocable letter of credit LOC number 2008/580 issued by the State Bank of Countryside on behalf of Tri-K Development, Inc. for the benefit of the Village of Homer Glen for payment of outstanding professional service fees for the Kenwood Liquor Development.
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo,
And I second.
second by Trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion?
I just have one question, Mayor.
Sure.
Has he been notified that we're doing this tonight?
We do not notify people when we pull letters of credit. We never have. So it's, these are past due bills that have been past due for many, many years. He's been given copies of the bills multiple times by John, all documented. Most recently, it was discussed in a meeting with his attorney and our attorney when we were discussing something else. So we have made multiple attempts to try to get the past due balances and have been unsuccessful.
Okay. Well, I see that he has owed the money for a little while, but I just wondered if it'd
Right.
be nice to let someone know you're gonna take something from him.
Well, we will contact him after the board takes action, but we don't historically ask beforehand. I will say this, more than probably anybody else that we've had an LOC with, we have asked him for him to take care of the outstanding balances, and it just hasn't happened, respectfully.
Okay, is there any further questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Quigley?
Okay, motion carries. Is there any old business? Okay, is there any new business? All right, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
First by trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee Sabo. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries, meeting adjourned.